name's Will, and welcome to the Distorted Transmission for today. Bravo Uniform Mics, or BUM for short, a two-piece band based in Manawatu. How are you guys?
Yeah, good. Thanks, Will.
Good.
First off, I just want to ask you about the name, but before then, I guess we should go into the introductions. So if you could introduce yourselves, please.
So my name is Potsy. So I'm the guitarist and vocalist, and 50% of the band.
I'm Joseph. I'm the drummer. I'm the other half of the band. I'm pretty new to the band, but we've been practicing a lot, and it's coming together.
I think Potsy, you're the founding member, or the guy who sort of thought up the concept to start with. So can you give us a brief history of the band?
Yeah, I've been doing two-piece bands for a wee while. I was a drummer for 15 years, and then sort of COVID hit and had nothing to do but sit at home and practice instruments. So I sort of just practiced guitar. And before this band, I was in another two-piece called Far Cup, which was with a guy called Tuma Tokana. And Tuma was, we were touring. We started playing some gigs with Blind Spot and things like that last year. And Tuma decided that he sort of wanted to retire. He was getting into his 40s, and the tour life wasn't for him. And so I sort of just started this project. The music for this project's a little bit different too. It's sort of a bit more, I don't know, rock and roll. I don't know, just loud distortion, big drums. And yeah, like I've always sort of loved the Datsuns and the D4 and even like the Hives and those sorts of bands. So those sort of rock and roll bands, and it was just sort of, I don't know. I've always wanted to do that, and I was drumming for a couple of two pieces too, and I was the one that sort of figured out the way that we could hook up a guitar amp and a bass amp, and now we don't need a bass player.
I've interviewed quite a few bands, and everyone seems to have a different method of doing it. So I thought I might touch on yours.
I found a yellow like chorus Behringer pedal that had like two ins, one in and two outs, and I just plugged that in and plugged some distortion in, and seemed to go all right. I've done some octave stuff, like I've got some octave pedals and things like that. It sort of just help out with that bass sound, and then just sort of started figuring out how to play, because I play guitar upside down. So all my power chords and things are all on the bottom.
Don't you get a sore head?
Yeah. The blood rushes right straight to my head all the time. I can only do a half-hour set and I'm buggered. So all my power chords, all my low notes are on the bottom. So I figured that helps. I don't know. I'm just a drummer playing drums on a guitar. So, like, I did the music school buzz years ago, but I'm still not really a guitarist per se.
You mentioned that you played a guitar upside down when we were chatting before the interview, and I just thought you meant it was kind of Jimi Hendrix styles, like it was a right-handed guitar, but it was strung to the left. But you actually have the strings are upside down.
Yeah, so I play a right-handed guitar just fully upside down because, I was a drummer for a long time, so I never really owned a guitar. So, we'd have breaks in the jam room and everyone else was right-handed, so I just picked up their guitars.
So how do you deal with like the standard chord shapes? Do you play them backwards?
Yeah, and they seem to work. I tried to get some guitar lessons, and the guitar dude was just like, "Nah, man."
It's like you've almost made the project that much more difficult by playing everything the wrong way around. Do you also play like a left-handed kit or something? But you're a right-handed drummer?
Yeah, so I usually play a left-handed kit. So I usually swap the kit around, which is to every sound engineer's nightmare halfway through a gig, especially if you're the middle band.
You sound extremely annoying.
Yeah, extremely annoying. But I would so love to be right-handed. Like, it would just make my life so much easier. I didn't know how to cut paper for ages because the scissors didn't work. And then I realised I was using the wrong hand, and I didn't know there was left-handed scissors. And being a left-handed musician sucks.
What about left-handed screwdrivers? Have you found those are easier?
Yeah, tried those, but you definitely need left-handed screwdrivers, left-handed drills, all sorts.
The next question was why the name?
I just always thought that band names are a bit silly.
Well, yours are.
Yeah. The last band I was in was called Fuck Up, so about WHACUP. Band before that was the Deadbeat Dads. Band before that was Brooklyn State Hospital. Like, I don't know, just everyone sort of seems to remember the band name though.
Right, so Joseph, you sort of just joined the band recently.
Yeah.
How long ago did you actually join the band?
I think it was only about a month ago. So the story goes back a bit. So I've been drumming since I was a teen, and in the past maybe 10 years, I've really enjoyed kind of bluesy rock bands. Did you ever see His Master's Voice?
Oh, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, and they're awesome. It's just Sabbath worship. It's groovy, and we've got Sea Mouse here in Wellington, and same again. It's got that White Stripes, really bouncy, groovy, bluesy rock and roll. It's I was thinking, yeah, I'd love to play drums in a band like that. And then I saw one of Potsy's old bands at this house party. They were called Deadbeat Dads, and it was just ridiculous. Like the guy's playing guitar behind his neck, and then just going nuts. And you could tell it wasn't all fully rehearsed. It was very in the moment stuff. I was like, shit, I'd love to drum in a band like this. It's really kind of bluesy rock. And so I got in touch with Potsy. I was like, hey, would I ever be able to put on a gig, my band and your band sometime? Which was around the time that Deadbeat had split up, and he just started Fuck Up with Tuma. And I do photography, so I did photos for them at the next few gigs I did in Wellington. And we just became friends. And then after Tuma has kind of called it a day, Potsy's like, oh, I've got a new project though. It's not quite as bluesy, but it's still it's rocky. It's still a two-piece, and he lives a bit up the coast from me. It's about an hour and a half drive. So I was tempted. I was like, oh, I don't know. It's a lot of petrol, and so at first, he was going with other drummers. But I guess last time he saw me play, he's like, look, your style works. Let's just make this happen. You want to play this bluesy stuff. I play this music. Let's just make it work. So so we've been practicing pretty hard. We had a gig last weekend before last, and it's coming together.
You've got a tour coming up. I guess we should probably delve into that. So who wants to give me the dates?
26th of May, Paisley Stage, Napier. 27th of May, Smash Palace in Gizzy. 2nd of June, we're playing 8 Ball Bar in New Plymouth. 3rd of June, we're playing Snails in Palmy. And then 8th of June, we're playing Valhalla, Wellington. And that's with with a chick-fronted punk band called Cherry Punch. And I did a gig with them a couple months back, and they were just so good. And I said to them, I was like, hey, did you want to play like one of these gigs? And I was like, actually, do you just want to come on tour with us? And they're like, yeah, we'll play all 5 dates. I was like, sick. And then there's a few other bands that are sort of playing like local. So Napier, there's Mirrored Walls. Gizzy, we've got the dude Spikey, who is was in Sit Down in Front. And New Plymouth, we've got another punk band called the Groundsman. Palmy, we've got another band called Old Man Pine playing with us, who are real cool, sort of bluesy, sort of swampy stuff. And Valhalla is another band called Adonai, the guy called Dean, who's just an amazing vocalist. So we don't have a release. Like I sort of just wanted to go out and play some gigs.
Next question is, have you released any music to date? And if you haven't, do you plan to?
Hopefully before the end of the year, at least an EP.
Is it going to be like a home studio self-contained thing, or will you sort of like hire somebody to do the recording for you?
I can do recording myself. but it's such a mission to do recording and playing and tracking, doing everything yourself. So I'd love to bring someone else in, but that sort of locking yourself away in a batch or something for a week, or rather than a studio, studios are very, I don't know,
clinical,
sterile.
Yeah, sterile. And we're not about that. Like I'm having a jack right now, and
and a drink.
Yeah. So no, I wouldn't do that in the interview.
How many tracks does this band actually have under its belt?
I'd say 5 songs that Potsy's written. And we were working on another one just on Saturday. So I think August we're going to start looking at recording. And probably an EP, because I think in this day and age, you kind of want to stay current in people's news feeds and that. So drip feeding singles or shorter releases is a good way to stay current. Whereas if you work on putting together a big album and then you drop it, it's like, well, cool, you've got an album, but then what are you doing in 6 months? So
the flip side of the same coin is that you could record a whole bunch at once and then drip feed it as you go. So
yeah, well, that's a very good point. And that's when I've been in the studio in the past, sometimes it takes half a day to set up all the gear, dial all the sound. So you may as well record it all rather than having to do that every time. So you raise a very good point.
You can master them together and release them as one thing. If you ever want to do that in the future, release them one by one, and then at the end on Bandcamp have like a CD or whatever, like a little album to download. Last question, I guess, is there anything that you guys do musically outside the band itself? Are you guys involved in music? Like myself, for example, I do interviews and odds and ends. Do you guys do anything like that?
Yeah, so I've got a website that I started when I was at uni, so probably about 10 years ago now. It's called Will Not Fade. And as a teenager, I had stacks of Rip It Up magazines and countless of them different, but Rip It Up was my favorite, and that was my goal to be a music journalist. And the idea is like go hang out with Ozzy Osbourne and interview him and that sort of thing. And that didn't quite eventuate. I'm a kindergarten teacher, but I do album reviews, I do live reviews, I do interviews, I do music photography. Like this weekend, I just did a promo shoot for a local band. And I find that quite exciting because there's a different way that I can be an active part of the music community.
You're a band that's only been around for about 6 months in this little this format. And you've got your sort of first tour coming up, and you haven't released any music yet, so that's about all we have to chat about. But lastly, is there anything else you'd like to add before we sign off?
Yeah, just come out and party. Come out and party with us. That's what we're about, is partying. So and if anyone's got a house that they want to have some big noisy band in anywhere in the country, then let us know, because we'll come play in your house.
All right, guys, best of luck. Catch you later. Say goodbye.
Thanks, Will.
Thanks for watching.